Oh my gosh, I am not trying to fangirl out here, but we have finally met Aragorn in Lord of the Rings Online.
God, okay, it's happening!
Well, he's Strider here, but like, we know. In this journey, we are pushing back against the big bad goblins and reclaiming the lands of the dwarves. But when a rescue mission goes awry, we are faced with the wrath of several nazgul wraiths and one angry big daddy dwarf. Here is what happened. We pick up this leg of the Dwarf Dunderly Danger Caffeinated Dad as he is riding into an elf town to meet with Pellingreer, that weak guy from last episode who was complaining about being too tired to exist, asked us to return the bow to this elf because he wasn't worthy. Well, it turns out that he's a descendant of a great ranger from the past who was a friend of this Pellinger elf. I keep forgetting that elves live for like 1,000 years. God, being a man in this game is actually kind of depressing. Well, he says, go and get the ancestor's sword from his grave, which is like, cool, let's go grave rob your dead buddy, which, I mean, he was your friend. If you're cool with it, I'm cool with it. And this is literally just a fetch quest. Technically, I didn't really have to throw hands with this undead boy, but I needed violence. We come back to Celerant, the weak little boy, and give him the sword, and he's like, oh, I'm a descendant of someone cool, and I can use his equipment. Dude, can you, like, not be a giant cup of depresso all the time? Sheesh. Well, now it's time to progress the main story here at the Northern Barricade, which is essentially our protection against goblins and other various evils that are on the other side. But, like, I got an absolute laugh out of this. There's 2 dwarves here and 2 unmanned ballistas. To stop who? If the goblins charge in here, we're completely screwed. The barricade doesn't even have a gate. What is this? And then I felt like super duper dumb because on the other side of it is 2 level 150 dwarf guards. Ah, yes. That's why there's no need for more dwarves. Well, this is a bit of a quest hub for us, and we go on a whole bunch of killing sprees, killing goblins, spiders, and something called milk eyes. I don't know. I do have to say that switching to the Blue Line Guardian has been significantly better in my mind as far as an open world option is concerned. Legit, I can take on many different mobs and enemies all at once and be alright. Until I shoot Gazrib, who is the main kill target here because he's like the leader of the goblins, and I end up aggroing 20 goblins, a few spiders, a couple milk eyes, a ring wraith, and 2 balrogs. Now, I will admit the ability charge that I got from last episode really comes in clutch here, as I can simply just outrun everything. Pump those little dwarf legs, let's go. Well, I recover and then kill this milk eye, and it summons a wraith. Luckily, there was a dwarf player by the name of Fumble Dwarf, which is awesome. And he rides by right at the right time to help me get the kill, because let's be serious, that wraith would have wrecked my face. Absolutely. I start working my way through this camp, fighting a bunch of these goblins and spotting Gazrip again, and getting ready to murder. And once we actually fight him, honestly, as a leader, I was expecting more. It's a total yawn fest. I actually do the big dummy move here and clear this entire camp of goblins because I didn't read the damn quest log, and find out that I only needed to kill Gazrip, not every single one of these goblins. Ugh. Well, after 20 minutes of unaliving these guys, I finally realized my big boy error and then continue on around the corner, killing all the milk eyes and spiders that I need to turn in the quests. And I hit level 15, and now I can purchase a home, which honestly, in today's market, that could be the only way that I actually afford anything. But, I mean, I guess I'm a dwarf, so, like, I don't mind being in caves and, like, small mud pit areas. Come on, let's dig a hole and just live our lives. Now we have to ride back to our Lang last buddy to inform him of the deeds that we have just done. We really were there to soften up the goblins to prepare an assault against their encampment. Skorgrim, the big daddy devil dwarf, is in there, and we need to kill him and put to his evil falutin ways. We talked to Langlass, and he's like, the dwarves and the elves have all contingents ready for the assault of Rath Tagor. So it's time to go murdering again. But okay, let's be serious. You don't really need to have a license to kill goblins. Like, there needs to be no justification. Just get to murdering. Well, I am supposed to aid Averthal, but I run too far ahead, wondering why we haven't run into any of the baddies, only to turn around to see Averthal getting blasted by like 6 of these guys in the back. I just realized how bad that sentence sounded. Legit though, it's like a swing or two of this epic beard and they all go splatter. Well, we get up to the main barricade and see an endless stream of goblins come running right at us as if there's a meet and greet with Peter Jackson. And then this dwarf runs up and says, hey, Mouthy Stouthand is in trouble, so we rush off to his aid, and he says, I'm glad you're here. I'll help call out the goblins as they are attacking. Like, dude, why aren't you helping us? You don't need to call these out when the goblins are in melee range. Oh, you don't say. I see a goblin here in my face, and he's stabbing me. Oh, they're coming from the left. You don't Frickin' say. Well, we rest a bit, and then we are hit with a hail of what sounds like arrows, and then they basically kill off all the non-important characters here. We progress up the ridge, killing a bunch of these stingers, but again, like, they are only level 11, and I'm 15, which is actually kind of unfair. I do note that I hate the sappers the most here, because they actually deal real damage and chunk me quite a bit. At the top of this ridge, there is a party of dwarves and elves, and one of them says that Abrathol's dad went to rescue Sarah Oakheart. I remember her! She was that slow-ass old lady in the Blackwood encampment, and she was like inching along forever until we got to the end of the dungeon, and then she's like, huh, I grew legs. This absolute hussy, what are you doing here? Like, I'm actually really suspicious of this lady, I'm just saying. Well, she sprints because, of course, her legs work here, and then at the bottom of this camp, we see Carnival, the elf dad. And of course, it's a trap, which I hate to say, we are not trapped in here with you. You are trapped in here with us. Well, Daddy Skorgrim walks out and is like, yeah, you're weak. This whole place is weak, but I must go to Breland and kill some men. Like, you could have just not said anything and just left us to die, but like, why did you tell us what you were doing? You're literally helping for your downfall. We deal with a couple of waves of these gobbies, and then the attack was successful for the most part, and we get a cutscene of Gandalf talking about the need to rely on the Rangers and us to save Frodo and his friends. Just saying, I don't remember seeing myself in the movies, but I guess, you know, there were quite a few extras. Outside, we talked to Langlass one last time, and he's like, hey, you gotta go meet up with my big boss Strider. Oh, I know who that is. Finally, we get to meet the long-lost Ranger Lord. That's right, these guys don't know yet. After an obnoxiously long horse ride, we finally arrive in Bree. And I also have to say, to pass the time, I was contemplating getting the dwarf bear chest skin. I'm just saying, what better way to play a dwarf than to be an angry, shirtless man? In the meantime, building up to this quest, I've somehow gathered like 10 go to Bree quests. Like, damn, Lotro, chill. I know we gotta go here for the story, but relax. I do stop in the jail to talk to the Guardian trainer, who has a quest that will get me a purple helmet. Ooh, that's gonna be huge. Also, right outside of here, it appears that there's a bear riding a horse. You know what? I'm done asking questions. We make it to the Prancing Pony and talk to the barkeep, and basically he's like, yeah, Strider's in the back, but he's like this weird reclusive guy. He's always brooding. Well, yeah, I mean, he's the king of Gondor. Right. Better not light that beacon yet.
The beacons are lit, city! The beacons are lit!
After accidentally breaking into Gandalf's room because he was just chilling there, like, sup, dude? You gonna help us out? The next room had Strider in it, and he's like, yep, let's get to killing. Strider and the Rangers are here to kill Amdir, one of their Ranger buddies who was turned into a Wraith. But I remember this part too when I played through it as a Warden. This is a huge moment. Well, me and Torthan move forward, killing some of the Blackwool guards, but I'm super overleveled, and these guys are like melting in my face. They're level 10 and I'm level 15 with no landscape difficulty modifiers. No chance that these guys were going to be able to do anything. And I actually kind of feel bad here because all these brigands are just like standing around having a nice evening until I came in and ruined the party with my stash. This progresses fairly quickly and actually like two-shotting most of these guys all the way until we get to the other side of the camp where Skorgrim is standing over a Blackwold informant. And Skorgrim is like, ha, that's too bad. It's dead o'clock, my guy. Well, the dead informant becomes a Barrow White who actually does some pretty good damage. I have no idea how though. I mean, is it poisons? Is it dread? I gotta figure this out. At the top of the ruins, we see 5 out of the 9 Nazgul. Oh lordy, now I know where I stand as far as power leveling. These guys are like the big bads. This is not gonna go good for me fighting against these wraiths because all I have is a wooden shield and a can-do attitude. Well, they get chased off by Strider, and then Amdir rises as a wraith called Cargill, so it's time to put him down. This fight goes insanely fast. Like, I felt like I had more trouble with the Barrow White, and as we leave, we get a cutscene of the Nazgul chasing our Hobbit buddies through the Shire, and all we can do is hope that they live. Outside the instance, Strider says, go and talk to a constable named Underhill, which, okay, no problem. We gotta figure out what the Blackwold bandits were doing with the Skorgrim booty anyway. Then we are assaulted with another cutscene of Gandalf saying, where did you go, my boys? And you need to search for the light in the darkness, and oh, there's Tom Bombadil, the man, the myth, the legend. If you guys don't know who he is, simply put, he is like the most feared and overpowered being in this whole universe. But he chooses to sing and dance and like be a hobbit. He's literally just a giant question mark. Nobody knows what he is. Well, we talked to Constable Underhill, and you guessed it, Constable Underhill is a hobbit. Like, dude, you're the law enforcement around here and you ain't got no shoes on. Come on now. Well, we break into the Blackwold's hideout to see what we can find, but there's like nothing but dead bodies everywhere. And then we see Skorgrim talking to the Black Wold leader, and he's like, swear fealty to the Big Daddy Dwarf or you die. And the guy was like, say less, queen. Blech. Then Skorgrim runs off again. Like, come on now, dude, this is getting old. Can we at least fight you for a little bit and then you run off? We talk to the leader, and he says that Aegon, that dork that we killed along with Cargill, tried to convince the Black Wolds to pledge to Angmar, but after he died, it kind of fell through. So the Black Wold leader was like, we don't agree with the Big Daddy Dwarf Skorgrim. And such, Skorgrim gave him an extra stomach hole. This has like some crazy implications moving forward, but we need to stop the Skorgrim boy before he destroys everything that we love. This part of the journey was great because now we are truly fleshing out the main story of Skorgrim, of Strider, and the parallels to the main Lord of the Rings story. What's even cooler is that we are actually starting to meet these main characters, aside from just a mention here and there. Now, I know our story is probably going to run alongside the main tale, but the way that they've integrated is actually very well done. You feel like you are helping along and moving these major events without necessarily being the primary action deliverers, I guess, if that makes sense. Also, I noticed that I am severely overleveled compared to the level requirements, which leads me to believe that I have put so much work into the side quests as a completionist that I didn't actually need to. I mean, I like my side quests. It's a little bit of a grind to, you know, push some levels, but come on now. This story is really starting to pick up pace, and it's now looking like we have some wraiths and evil dwarfs to hunt. If you do want to catch up on the whole Lotro story thus far, you can click this playlist here to see every episode. Otherwise, stay caffeinated, folks.